So I don't know if you guys enjoyed yesterday's video or not. If you did, that's cool. If you didn't, that's cool. Like, it's just my opinion at the end of the day. And my opinion doesn't necessarily, trump your opinion or anything like that. It's all just opinions at the end of the day. But the reason I'm referencing yesterday's video because today's video kind of coincides with things that are tied into what I discussed yesterday, where everything's an outrage, everything is something to get worked up over, and everything is just, they're changing it for the worst and stuff like that. And yes, there are instances in media where things like that do happen, and I think it's stupid. And yes, there are instances in media where I don't think it's a big deal. And today we're talking about a company that has been known for censoring stuff, well, since their inception. We're talking about Nintendo, and we'll go down a little bit of a laundry list of things that they have censored in the past, but Nintendo is now coming under fire for Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door Remaster, remake, whatever the hell it's called. No, not for the 60 frames per second down to 30 frames per second, because the internet tells me that's not a big deal. I saw someone make a tweet saying that they had been playing games since 1986. They were a part of the video games journalism industry, and they don't see a difference between 60 frames and 30 frames. And to that person, I say, get some glasses. Because while you might be okay with 30 frames, I'm usually okay with 30 frames depending on the game. To say that there's not a difference is just completely inaccurate. There's no debate about that. It's just completely inaccurate. But no, nobody's concerned about that. Now, the big C word. It's here. It's looming. I'm not talking about the Australian C word that MBG probably likes to use in the comfort of his own home. Even though he's British, he tries to claim that he's Australian. I am talking about censorship, because it appears that some things have changed from Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door's original release in 2004 to the release that we are... Well, did it come out in 2004? It came out around then, whatever. But to the version that we're now getting this year, some things have changed. Some people are crying censorship, and we're going to take a look at these stuff, and I will give my opinion on it, and then you can give your opinion on it in the comment section, because it's all about talking about things. So, this is coming to us from Bounding Into Comics. I have been told that this is a grift right-wing website or something like that. I hate labels. I take a look at an instance and a situation for what it is, no matter who's talking about it, so whatever. This is basically talking about the thing that has been quote-unquote censored in the game, where in the original Paper Mario, there is a scene that happens early on in the game where you are walking through an underground area. Some dudes end up catcalling the female Goomba that you're with in the original game. You can see here, hey man, what's up? Who's that hottie you got there with you? What's up, baby? Why don't you hang with us for a while? We play nice. And then Goombella is like, no, get away from me. You're gross. And then y'all end up scrapping. Y'all end up scrapping with these ruffian tuffians. Well, the modern version of this game now plays out in a different fashion. Basically, what ends up happening is the dialogue has changed. You think it's cool just to waltz your way into our underground? Typical surface level snobs are so stuck up. And then Goombella says, leave him alone. Can't two academics and a world famous hero wander the sewers of a port town in peace? If this is your usual greeting to visitors, then you must have learned it down here because it stinks. I mean, that's kind of funny, I think. And that is what has changed. The catcalling has essentially been removed from Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door. And honestly, I don't really care. Here's the thing about it. Is it changed? Yes. Why did they change it? I don't know. But this is Nintendo at the end of the day. And if you open up a history book about video games, you would know that ever since the NES, Nintendo has been censoring or changing things for Western audiences, or not even giving you access to things. Devil World never came out on the NES. It only came out on the Famicom. Why? Religious imagery. You look at a situation like Super Mario Brothers 2. They thought Americans were too bitch-made, so they created a Doki Doki Panic. They took Doki Doki Panic and put Mario characters in them because they thought that Westerners would think the game was too hard and didn't change enough and stuff like that. Look at the Super Nintendo. Howard Lincoln going and testifying in front of Congress that Night Trap's never going to be on a Nintendo Nintendo platform, removing blood from Mortal Kombat 1 and instead making it sweat, thus ruining the whole point of the game. See, that's an actually impactful game, or an impactful change that actually impacts the game. The removal of the over-the-top gore in Mortal Kombat 1, like, that's one of the reasons why it became a popular game. It was over the top, but people liked that. And obviously Nintendo learned their lesson when Mortal Kombat 1 on the Super Nintendo flopped, and then Mortal Kombat 2 came out. They put the blood in it. Of course, there's the whole religious imagery thing with games like Castlevania, the aforementioned Devil World. Like, it's been happening since the dawn of time with Nintendo. So when I look at this situation, did it change? Yes. Will people be upset by this? I mean, you know, you look at it and you're like, okay, well, this is a bad guy doing a cat call to a person, thus solidifying the bad guy role. And I could see that point of view. But for me personally, I don't feel like it really makes that much of a difference. Like, it doesn't fundamentally change anything. This is a one-off battle that happens early on in the game, and then you kind of forget about it. I do wonder if it wasn't brought into the forefront, how many people that are playing this game would actually notice that it was a thing. Now, there's another situation going on with no Toads being killed in the Thousand Year Door remake, and this one, I don't quite know how I feel about it. So we got the cool little Toad outline here, you know, like the body outline, and then no body outline. Well, what happened? What happened where we didn't remove the Toad? So if you look at this thread, it's actually kind of funny because it's like half people that are being very tongue-in-cheek about it and half people that I think are being dead ass, and they're like, I am disgusted by this. How could they censor the game like this? And yes, once again, this is a change to the game that could be perceived as censorship. So I'm not trying to diminish that mindset of people. But what did I say in yesterday's video? If you didn't watch it, go watch it after this one and probably get mad at me or something like that. But you have to pick and choose your battles. And this, to me, in a Nintendo game that's obviously designed for a bit of a younger audience, and obviously is a game that is for mass appeal, you have to keep that in mind. And the one thing that I find very interesting that, once again, nobody is talking about, but I brought it to the forefront in yesterday's video, is the ESRB. Because the ESRB that rated the game back in back in 2004 is a different ESRB than we have now in 2024. They have added in yet another listing with the E10 games. So maybe catcalling, maybe a chalk outline of a body was acceptable back then, but now it's not acceptable now. Look at the film industry. It's the same sort of thing. Now, you could go into a whole debate about that, you know, where PG-13 movies used to be what essentially R-rated movies are nowadays, and, like, you know, we all grew up watching horror movies and stuff like that, and we turned out all right. It's kind of like the generation after us is kind of the weirdo generation, but still, like, the thing of it is these things evolve, and people like the ESRB have so much power over these games as far as designating them with a rating, because companies want to hit a certain target. And if you think about it in that way, was it really Nintendo that changed this because they wanted to, or was it Nintendo changing it because the ESRB forced them to in order to get a certain rating? These are just theories that I have, because at the end of the day, nobody's going to be able to prove this one way or another unless Nintendo comes out and is like, yeah, we censored it, we changed it because F you, that's why. I just want people to think about these things kind of in a different manner and realize that there is nuance within this. If you're pissed off about these changes, that's cool, man. You're allowed to be. If you're not pissed off about these changes, that's cool, man. You're allowed to not be pissed off. For me personally, I don't think they're necessarily a big deal, but I do think the ESRB definitely played a role in this, more so than the game developers themselves. But once again, I can't prove that or anything like that, so that's just a game theory. Didn't they stop making videos? I don't know. I really don't watch many video game channels, especially not Spawnwave. Let me know in the comment section down below, though. What do you think about this? Is this ruining your Paper Mario Thousand Year Door experience? Are you more upset about this than the fact that the game is now 30 frames per second instead of 60 frames per second? Because if so, you are part of the problem. You're still welcome here, don't get me wrong, but you are a part of the problem. And as always, guys, thank you for checking out this video. If you are new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button, like, comment, share, hit the bell as well, and as always, I'll catch you guys on the next video. Later.